Thanks for watching my video. Today we are going to talk about tubeless tires. I recently bought this 2021 Stumpjumper alloy, and if you've been following me, I've been trying to get the weight down on this bike. Today we're going to talk about the tubeless conversion. This bike, like a lot of bikes today, come tubeless ready from the factory. So you got to have the shop do the conversion for you, or you can do it yourself. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you the taping. I'm going to show you the valve stems and the other products that I use to do the conversion. And if you've been following me, I've been trying to get the weight of this bike down. So I'm going to do at the same time a conversion to a little less aggressive, a little more fast rolling tire. Let's do it. Just kind of lay this out for you guys, show you exactly what tools you're going to need for this operation. Of course, you need the beverage of your choice. And then you're going to need some sealant. I've got this orange seal. I've got the stands. I like both these. I recommend trying a couple different ones over time. These are both really good options. You can kind of see what works for you over time, but I think I'm going to use the stands today. And then you're going to need some rim tape. There's a bunch of different options out there. I like the stands. I like the way this stretches. I'm going to use this today. Also, I will show you how to pick the right width for your rim because that's important. You don't want something too narrow. And then you're going to need a tubeless valve stem. I like these Granite Juicies. They've got a top that comes off, and that's a tool to remove your valve stem too. And the way these work is it's got a seal on both sides that clamps down on your rim that creates a airtight seal. And so you'll need a set of those. And then you need an injector. Some guys and gals just pour the sealant right into their tire. I like to use the injector. For me, it's a little more clean, and I'll show you how at what stage to do both of those, but I like using this option because it's a little more clean. And then you need some good tire bars. These are from Park Tool. This is the TL 6.2. It's got a metal inside with just a little bit of metal on the outside. Don't buy the full metal ones. They will destroy your rims. So I really like this as an option because it's super strong and has a little metal tip at the end that helps you in some cases. But these are really nice. I'll link to all this stuff on Amazon so you guys can find it. And if these work for you, you can shop around, see what works for you. But this is a good setup right here if you're doing it for the first time. All right, so first things first, if you've got an inner tube in your tire from the factory, you're going to want to just deflate this tire, pull the inner tube out, take your tire off, and get ready to do your tape job. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll jump into the tape. So in a lot of cases these days, your rim's going to come pre-taped. So if it says tubeless ready, there's a good chance that your rim has already been taped, which means you get to skip maybe the hardest part of this whole thing. You can go right to installing your stem, which I'll have linked in the video, and then getting your tire back on and putting your sealant in. Okay, if you're doing this for the first time, you may find yourself shopping for tape online and wondering, well, what width should I buy? One easy trick is to take a little piece of masking tape and just kind of work it into your rim here and press it down across your rim and figure, you can just lay it in there and then cut it to the width, and then you pull that out and you can measure it with your caliper. For me, I'm like 28, 29, somewhere in that range. I've got some 27 tape, 27 millimeter tape. That'll work just fine for this. You just want to get it over this hump and into this ridge. If it can go all the way under the tire, it's better. It's a little harder to get it in there and not completely necessary in my mind. But that's a good trick to learn what width tape you should buy. But you're probably going to be, with a modern mountain bike tire, you're probably going to be somewhere between a 27 and a 30 mil width on your tape. There's one simple trick to this that is going to make your life super easy. You want to put enough pressure on the tape as you're pulling it to stretch it a little bit so that it pulls all the bubbles out of the tape as you're going. And what I like to do is start, here's my valve stem opening. I like to start just a few inches past that so my seal is not right on top of it. And you just want to kind of get this tape about 6 to 7 inches of it out, and you want to pull it pretty firm. And then you want to just put your thumb in there and kind of push it into that depression in the rim to get it started. And then you want to pull it pretty hard. I mean, you want to put some pressure on this as you go. I'm pulling that just about as hard as I can to get the rim tape to stretch a little bit. And I'm going about 6 inches at a time, and then I'm coming behind and just putting my thumb into the depression. This is where I really like the stands because it has a nice stretch to it, but it's harder than electric tape or duct tape. I see guys do all kinds of Gorilla tape, but that'll push through your spoke holes eventually because it's too soft. So get the rim tape. That's what it's for. I'm just going to go all the way around. I didn't pull quite as hard as I want to there. I'm going to pull it. So you're putting some muscle into this as you go every 6 inches. Pull it hard. And you can kind of aim it where you want it to go as you go. And I'm just pushing that down into the indentation of the rim. Didn't pull quite as hard as I want to there. But that pressure is going to make it shape to the rim. And so then you want to go about, I don't know, 7 inches, 6 inches past where you started. And then just grab your razor. Give that a nice clean cut. There we go. I'm going to push that last bit in. And then I'm just going to kind of go around the edge and just get a nice seal on that. Push my thumb, get everything down into that indentation, get any air bubbles out. Just go around with my thumb. And then sometimes I'll use my tire tool, the back side of it, and just kind of go around the edge just to push it into the indentation there. Make sure I get a nice clean seal on that upper part. And I'm just going to go around with my thumb and make sure I really got it pushed down into that indentation. We get the more stretch and pressure you put on it as you go, the more it'll sit down into that indentation in your rim. And then, like I said, I like to just take my tire tool, go around the edge, and just push that down. I'm not putting a lot of pressure, just enough to really kind of get that tape to sit down on the rim. And there you go. Your tape job is done. And I'm telling you, it is a nightmare if you don't put a lot of pressure on it as you're stretching it. Think about stretching the tape rather than just laying it down. You really want to stretch it out on that rim. And that's it. So now let's talk about the valve stem. Your rim's taped. You want to find out where your valve stem hole is. And I use the edge of a razor blade. And I'm just going to make a little crisscross in that spot. And I'm not going to cut too much. I'm just going to basically poke the hole so that the valve stem can go through there. Because I want that rim tape to kind of make a seal to the degree that it can around my valve stem, but that's it. You just slide it in there, and then you put your bolt on the nut on the outside, and it's got a compression ring on the outside and on the inside, and you're just going to tighten this guy down. And what I will tell you is, do not over tighten this. It'll cause problems for you. You want to get it, I would get it hand tight, and that's going to create enough seal. It's already buckling down on there. And so you don't want to over tighten this because that'll actually make it leak. So you want to get a good, nice hand tight seal on that. And that's your valve stem. If you're doing this for the first time and you get confused on the tire orientation, there's going to be a little deal on your tire that looks like this arrow. It's going to tell you which direction the tire should be rolling. So you just figure that out on the orientation of your tire. And then we'll just get this tire on and I'll stop real quick and show you where people pour in the sealant versus put it in with the injector. Again, I like to do the injector because it keeps it a little clean for me. But I'll stop at that point in the process and show you where you could pour in the injector if you want. If you're a pour it in kind of guy or gal, you can just leave a space like this and just go ahead and grab your sealant and pour it right into there. I like to use the injector through the stem here, which I'll show you how to do. The thing I like to do is I like to go around the tire and just kind of pull the wire bead out a little bit towards the edge and just kind of go around the whole thing. I'm just kind of pulling it into place. Some people use their tire tool, but the goal is to just kind of get it out to the edge a little bit so that when you put it on your pump, if you have an air compressor, this is a little easier. If you got a floor pump, this will make it just seat. One of the things I like to do before I put my sealant in is go ahead and try to seat my tire, and then I'll deflate it again and try to put my sealant in. Not everybody does this, but I kind of like to do it. And if you're using a floor pump, that trick I showed you where you're pulling the tire out against itself and helping the bead sit down a little bit will help kind of get this thing to go quicker. Depending on your sealant, may be a little harder or not to get in here. I want about 3 or 4 ounces for a 29-inch tire. So this is, that'll be between 80 and 90. And if I get it stuck, I'm just going to push it back in and then pull it a little more. And there we go. So we got that. We're just going to take that out and we'll get that ready to put in our tire. So here's a quick tip for you if you're using syringe, the syringe method like I do. Don't push down on that tire and flatten it out while you're putting the injector in. I'm just going to get that right in the valve stem. And I'm going to hold the tire up while I inject this so it doesn't shoot back out because the tire is flattened out. So again, I'm using about 3 to 4 ounces in a 29-inch tire. So that's your tubeless conversion. Again, I did this on a 2021 Stumpjumper alloy, but it's going to be the same on most bikes that are tubeless ready. The last thing I would tell you is to get that sealant spread out, you can do this bounce technique where you're spinning the tire and bouncing it at the same time. So do that a few passes. That's going to get your sealant really spread out well through that tire. My 3 big tips are to go ahead and pull that tape really, really tight. It's going to be so much easier. You'll get all the bubbles out. That's an easy way to do it. You will mess with that tape forever trying to get the bubbles out. Just pull it as tight as you can to get a nice tight seal. Second big tip for me is to pull the tire out to the edge of the rim to kind of get it seated before you try to pump it up, especially if you're using a floor pump, because that takes a little more time. If you're using a compressor, it's a little easier, but that's a good tip. And then third is I like to use the injector and shoot the sealant into the tire versus try to pour it in. It's just a little cleaner to me. 3 or 4 ounces for a 29-inch tire, and you should be all set. You'll get less flats. You'll shed a little weight from getting rid of your tubes, which is always a good thing. It's just an all-around good conversion to do, and you can do it at home. You don't need to take it into the shop to get that done. I'll link to everything I used tonight in the video description so you guys can have that if you want it. Thanks for watching.